of the plagues, and indeed the first to affect the Muslim community, is a plague by the name of Amwas. No doubt many of you probably haven't heard of this before, yes? And it's the role of the Mimbar of Aba Abdullah to awaken the masses, to bring to us knowledge that we can benefit in our day-to-day lives and transform and inspire us. This Amwas was what? An area in modern-day Palestine, close to Jerusalem, that was conquered by the Muslim army at the time of the second Khalifa Umar ibn Khattab, 18 years after Hijrah, against the Byzantines, who had control over that region which was known as Syria. This city is very important. Why? Because it was a central city for the Roman soldiers to gather, to get paid, for example, to receive instructions. And therefore, when the Muslim army conquered it, it was a great victory for them. There was a man by the name of Abu Ubaidah Jarrah. He was a companion of the Holy Prophet of Islam. Abu Ubaidah Jarrah was a person who supported the first two caliphs in the Saqifa. Was what? Was an important individual for them when it comes to taking the right of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Similarly, he is known as one of the 10 guaranteed paradise according to that particular hadith, Al-Ashra al-Mubashirin bil-Jannah. And in fact, according to a reliable narration, the second Khalifa says that if Abu Ubaidah was alive after me, I would have made him the Khalifa. This Abu Ubaidah Jarrah became the commander of an area known as Amwas. Yes? Where? Close to Jerusalem in Palestine today. What happened afterwards was that this plague began to spread. Thousands began to fall. The second Khalifa was in Medina. He heard, he immediately rushed and went towards that particular area. He reached there according to Tabari, his Tarikh and other sources. When he reached on the outskirts, he met some heads of the Muslim army and people who were influential. Who were they? Amr ibn al-As, Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan, Khalid ibn Walid, yes, and Abu Ubaidah al-Jarrah. Suhail ibn Umayr was also amongst them. He was the one who stood against the Prophet of Islam when it comes to the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. They were all gathered. When he looked at them, he said, what's going on? They said, look, there are so many people who are dying and there is a plague that is spreading. He looked at Abu Ubaidah. He said, Abu Ubaidah, leave. Come with me. We're going back to Medina. Abu Ubaidah looks at him. He says, how can I leave the troops? How can I just abandon them? He says, I am telling you, we must leave and go back. Abu Ubaidah looks at him and says, أَتَفِرُّ مِنْ قَضَاءِ اللَّهِ? Are you running away from the decree of Allah? Second Khalifa looks at him and says, I'm disappointed. You say such a thing. I wish someone else said such a thing like this, not you. أَفِرُّ مِنْ قَضَاءِ اللَّهِ إِلَىٰ قَضَاءِ اللَّهِ. I'm running away from the decree of God towards the decree of God. What do you mean? At that moment, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, another companion of the Holy Prophet, said, I heard the Messenger of God say that when it came to a plague, if you hear of a plague in a particular city, don't enter it. And if you are inside it, don't go outside. Don't leave it. Yes? At that moment, what? Abu Ubaidah said, I'm still staying here. I'm not leaving the troops, the thousands of troops who are here. Umar ibn Khattab leaves him, returns back to Medina, writes him a letter, asks him to come back. Abu Ubaidah says no. Eventually, Abu Ubaidah dies. Dies because of the plague. He gets infected. After him, please understand this incident. Ma'adh ibn Jabal, another Sahabi, takes the leadership of that area. Very important area, yes, against the Byzantines. He and his family die because of the plague. After him, Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan, the brother of Muawiyah, the son of Abu Sufyan, is given the governorship of that region. Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan also gets infected with this plague. And now he's about to die. He says, I give the governorship towards my brother Muawiyah. Muawiyah takes the governorship of that region. And Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan dies. The second Khalifa is in Medina. He receives the news of what? Of the death of Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan. When he receives the news, he says, I am heading towards that region. When he heads towards that region, he affirms Muawiyah as the governor of that region. He says, yes, stay. I want you to be my governor in this area. And this is a delicate moment in Islamic history. Anybody who tells you, Karbala, tell me, before Yazid, tell me what happened. Very calm discussion, academic discussion, yes. Actually, chronologically, how did it lead? Yes, approximately 50 years after the Holy Prophet of Islam left this world. What were the main events? And this was one of them, no doubt, yes. Now, a famous historian by the name of Wilfred Madelung, he comes forward in his book, Succession to Muhammad. He says, Umar ibn Khattab had no choice. He says, you know, when he looked at the number of people who had died because of the plague, he didn't want anyone from Medina to go and what? To go and also die in the plague. So he preferred to leave. He had two choices, either Amr ibn al-As or Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. But what he did was he needed Amr ibn al-As because he was about to attack Egypt. So he placed Muawiyah as the governor of that area. But this is not entirely the picture. Why? When we look at objectively historical sources, we say that despite the repeated warnings of the Holy Prophet of Islam, Rasulul A'zam Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, when he saw Muawiyah and Abi Sufyan and the things that he said regarding them, despite the dangers of Bani Umayyah assuming power and consolidating their strength, unfortunately, this still took place. Yes? People say, give me evidence. Let's see how this particular plague led to the 10th of Muharram. What happened? When it comes to the news of Yazid, the son of Abu Sufyan, the brother of Muawiyah, dying, the second Khalifa was sitting next to Abu Sufyan and he gave him condolences. Abu Sufyan looks at him and says, who have you placed after my son? Who have you? He said, your other son Muawiyah. Abu Sufyan says, you have done a good thing and you have enjoyed the good relations between us, the Silatul Raham. You have enjoyed this relation. Yes. Then, if you look at At-Tabari, yes, if you look at the Sharh of Nahjul Balagha, yes, by Ibn Abi al-Hadid al-Mu'tazili, and a number of other Ma'arakat Saffin, the book Ma'arakat Saffin, non-Shia scholar, you find the following narration, that once the Prophet of Islam saw Abu Sufyan being on an animal, being guided by Muawiyah, and in front of them was his brother Yazid. They were walking. The Holy Prophet of Islam says, Allahumma al-'an al-rakib wal-qa'id wal-sa'ir. Oh Allah, send your la'na upon the one who's riding the animal, the one who's holding it, and the one who's leading them. You have other narrations that I brought here, yes? For example, what? For example, you have Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal in volume 4, page 421. He says that the Prophet of Islam, when he saw Muawiyah and Amr ibn al-As, he says, Allahumma du'huma ila an-nar. Ya Allah, punish them in Jahannam. This is whom? The Prophet of Islam. Yes? And other narrations that we have present. Unfortunately, what happened thereafter is the following. When the second Khalifa heard Muawiyah was drinking alcohol, he was wearing silk, he was taking riba, yes, things which are haram for a Muslim to do, he ignored it. They came to him and said, but this is not acceptable. He said, إِنَّهُ فَتَى قُرَيْشٍ. He's one of the Quraysh. Yes, I cannot deal with him. لَا أَمُرَكَ وَلَا أَنْهَاكَ. I will not tell you what to do either or nor prohibit things from you. Yes. And later, when he held accountable all of his governors, he did not hold Muawiyah accountable. What was the result of this? Muawiyah became even more powerful. He spread his rule, and later, unfortunately, he was given more land. He became stronger and stronger. He assumed wealth, yes, and of course, later on, would instigate his plan to eradicate and what? To obliterate the religion of Islam. He killed the Sahaba of the Holy Prophet of Islam. He fabricated hadith of the Holy Prophet of Islam. He tore the peace treaty that he had signed with the grandson of the Holy Prophet, Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. And indeed, instigated what? the process towards the tragedy of Karbala by appointing his son Yazid to be the Khalifa, yes, against the treaty that was signed with the holy Imams alayhim salam. Therefore, unfortunately, the plague of Amwas was an incident in Islamic history that somehow led to what? Led to not only the massacre of the 10th of Muharram, but also towards the destruction of the Kaaba and the violation and the sanctity of Madinatul Munawwara amongst the many crimes of whom? Of Yazid ibn Muawiyah.